an icebreaker. Thank you, Carlos. Carlos is also recording. So I've started with an icebreaker. What I'd ask is please do not use Google for anything. Okay. So you know those pictures that have very zoomed in images? That's what we're going to be doing. So if you know what this is, just shout it out, or if any guesses or anything. Ash, don't look at the screen. Any ideas from anybody?
Is it the underside of a mushroom?
No, but good.
Is it a loofah?
No, so that's also a good guess.
Are these white blood cells?
No, but also a good guess. Hint, it's a part of a vegetable.
Vegetable.
Seeds of
Pepper seeds.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too.
That's what it is. A pepper seed. Okay, now this one.
Strings of some sort.
It does look like it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Is this cardboard?
Blades.
The hint is the lines are paper thin. Cardboard was close. It is pages of a book. It was pretty close. This one. It plays music.
Oh, it's a guitar string.
Yeah.
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 Wow.
Wow, Gary, you're on fire. And then this is our last one. It gives off heat.
Yeah, it's a flame.
Flame.
Yeah.
Flame. Fire.
Great. All right. So the next part of this meeting, I'm just going to be going over the project coordinator role. I've been in this role for multiple MTO projects throughout my 5 years here at Dillon. This role is usually given to recent grads and junior staff, and it's almost like shadowing project managers, so that one day it'll be easy to transition into the project manager role. So this is an older presentation. I didn't have time to update it a lot, but what's involved in the project coordinator role? The role of project coordinator was put in place at Dillon to provide the opportunity to work closely with the project managers and to gain valuable insight into our clients' processes, requirements, and expectations. In my role of project coordinator, I've been able to provide support to project managers on multidisciplinary teams by creating and monitoring project schedules, coordinating deliverables for clients with the project team, monitoring budgets and tasks, scheduling meetings, creating agendas and minutes, and being the main point of contact for sub-consultants, clients, and the internal team. I've also assisted project managers with risk management by identifying risk items and calculating costs associated with each risk, especially with scope and cost reports. And I've had the opportunity to develop presentations and lead meetings internally with clients and then with the public. So I'd say 3 of the main components I've talked about, but coordination of meetings, deliverables, and correspondence, meeting agendas and note-taking, and then assisting the project manager with various tasks. And as you move through your career at Dillon, this role will change drastically. So when I first started in this role, it was more along the lines of coordinating meetings, deliverables, correspondence. But now I'm moving more into reaching out and advocating for myself with a project manager. So like, hey, Stephen, I want to learn how to do invoicing. So the next invoice you get, can you send it my way and can I take the lead on it? And I've not met a project manager at Dillon who would say no or prevent you from doing that. So they're really great with teaching. And it's just, again, the whole point of this role is that you're almost like a mini project manager, and then you can just easily step into that role. Because Dillon's kind of unique. I've met a lot of people, like students, when I go to fairs and stuff like that, that say, I don't want to do any design work, I just want to do project management. We don't work that way at Dillon. We want our project managers to know what they're talking about and be able to participate design. So that's how we're very unique. So there's lots of challenges and opportunities with this role as well. So like I said, I've been the project coordinator on numerous projects before. My favorite thing about being project coordinator is I get to see all the pieces come together for a project and get to know what's happening at all times. And I think that really helps in the long run to see the big picture of the project coming together, especially in terms of the design. My least favorite thing would be to have to follow up and bug people to get information and submit on time, because not only are you in charge of trying to make sure your work is done and submitted on time, but you're also in charge of making sure everyone else gets their work submitted on time. And I feel bad bugging people all the time, but that's just part of the role. I've really learned to be much more organized, because for me, organization doesn't come naturally, but you have to be organized in this role because you have to make sure everyone else is organized. And like I said, as you progress and learn, you can advocate for yourself, and the role can change drastically for what you want to learn and what you want to do. I've also asked a few other project coordinators on this call to share their experiences as well. So Amanda, can I start with you?
Sure. You actually stole my favorite and least favorite thing.
No.
But that's okay. So I've also been a project coordinator while at Dillon. I have been project coordinators for design build projects. So those projects, we work alongside the contractors. So in our case, it's Coco Paving, now GIP. So there's a lot of coordination with not just the Dillon team, and the Dillon team being our highway team, but also structures, environmental, electrical, all the different disciplines. But we also have to coordinate with the contractor, which goes into Heidi's thing of you are going to be feeling like you're bugging a lot of people, and that can sometimes be nerve-wracking, especially when you're like, whether it's at Dillon and you're messaging a partner to like review minutes and you feel so like annoying being like, hey, I know you're really busy, but you have to review my minutes before I send them. But so for my favorite thing, I'm gonna just echo what Heidi said. You get to be a part of a lot of conversations when you're the project coordinator. So for me, that's sitting in on our monthly progress meetings with the client, with the contractor, and with Dillon. And as a highway designer, I think it's made me better at my job because I've learned so much more about structural or electrical and what they're designing and what their issues are, how that actually trickles down into what I'm doing as a highway designer. So being a coordinator kind of gets me that foot in the door and sitting in those meetings firsthand rather than having the engineer call me up and explain the issue later. One of the challenges that I've been working on is keeping my email and my taskbar organized. When you're a project coordinator, you'll often be the designer and the coordinator, so you're holding two different roles. So you're trying to balance like your highway tasks, so getting the drawings done, getting the quantities done, following up with other disciplines, but then you also have to like follow up on deliverable management, updating the schedule, things like that. So I've really learned to utilize Google's taskbar. I don't know if you guys are all aware of it. I can share my screen quickly over Heidi. So on Google, you guys can see my screen.
Yeah.
So this task, there's these bars here, and if you click taskbars, you can add all these different tasks. They are also linked to Google Chat, but I just like to add, like whenever someone's like, oh, can you do this? I always just like add like speak at the JET meeting. And you can put a date and time and it'll actually like pop up on your screen and remind you that you have this coming up. So sometimes I do that for like following up on emails. And the thing that's nice too is like, say Veronica sent me an email, I can add it to my taskbar. And now the task, I can update it, say follow up. And the email's even linked here. So if I now have 100 emails in my inbox, I can just click on the task and it's all linked. I've also tried to become a zero inbox person, which clearly isn't working because I have 32 emails, but I flag everything as action required, waiting on others, or for reference. And if the task is done and there's no follow-up required, I file my email and I never look at it again. It's still in my inbox and I can call it up if I need to, but anything in my inbox are just outstanding items or things that I haven't actually had the chance to action yet. So for me, the challenges has been like trying to figure out what works for me, because something will always slip through the crack. I'm sure I've missed some things, but the challenge is kind of navigating that and learning new ways to mitigate it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Amanda. Next on my list, just looking at the screen, Garrett, did you want to share some of your experiences?
Yeah, sure. So I actually haven't officially held the project coordinator role. I've been told it's coming on some upcoming projects, but I have done some coordination for proposals in the past, and the stuff I like and dislike is the exact same things that Amanda and Heidi have listed. It's really cool being in on the project, knowing what's going on, being able to provide like info if someone asks you something. And then I really dislike the radio silence that can happen when you're trying to coordinate with like subcontractors, especially. I find here at Dillon, everyone's really quick to get back to you, but a lot of contract or subcontractors and utilities, they don't care. They don't respond to your emails, so you got to keep pestering.
And I should say, is there any tips that we can share in terms of getting people to call you back? Because like for me, I'll send an email, follow-up email, sometimes give them a call.
Yeah,
And
just I feel if they're not answering emails, you definitely got to give the call, and then they're more prone to respond to you. But yeah,
sometimes I escalate it to the project manager. I go, hey, no one's responding to me. Can you send them an email? And then Dennis will send them an email, and just like that. Awesome. Thank you, Garrett. Umair.
Thanks, Heidi. My name is Omer. We've met all of the new hired people yesterday. So I've been working as a project coordinator on a Metrolinx project. It's called ECWE. It's a bit different than the normal highway projects we're used to. So it's a railroad project. So it's a ECW stands for Eglinton Crosstown West Extension Project. It's a railroad project that would be connecting Etobicoke and Mississauga to the Toronto airport. So the best thing I like about working as a project coordinator is it helps you make connections. Since I've started working on this Metrolinx project, I've met like around 30 or 40 people in Dillon that I never knew before. Like they're like specialists in noise and vibration. They're different specialists with the sediment control or groundwater experts that I like coordinate with. So that is the best thing I like about working in a project coordinator. And this building connections helps you in the longer run. Like for example, this week I wasn't very busy with this Metrolinx project. So one of the connections that I made during this project coordination role asked me like, if you have time. I said yes, and he needed some help with developing some specification for a road raising project in New Brunswick. So I'm spending like the last 2 days working on that project. So it helps you keep busy too by making connections. So that is the best part I like about project coordination, is meeting new people and making connections. The worst thing about or the most difficult thing about project coordination role is you have to keep a track of a lot of things. Like this project deals with a lot of submittals that we have to get to Metrolinx, and we are the sub-consultant for a company called Arup. So it's a lot of coordination, a lot of tracking. So for that, what I've done is that there's an Excel sheet. I developed an Excel sheet, and we keep all the submittals. Like I list all the submittals in there, and there are different columns, and the status of each submittal is stated in that Excel sheet. So it helps me and my project manager to keep track of different submittals. And yes, again, as Amanda and Heidi said, we have to bug a lot of people. Sometimes it's difficult. Like, yeah, we don't know if they're like, sometimes the deadline get missed and we know that they're busy. So this is also a difficult part of this job. Yeah, that's it from me, Heidi.
Thanks, Umair. Definitely you're learning some soft skills of how to communicate with people with that. So
Yes, that's correct.
Carlos, I forgot to ask you if you have a favorite and least favorite, but did you have anything you wanted to share with that? Take the silence as a no. Oh, if you.
Sorry? Yeah, sorry. It's good.
It's okay. Did you have like a best and worst thing for project coordination that you wanted to share?
Well, for what I've done in project coordination, like, yeah, no, for me, it's been like being able to get all that experience and also like being able to put my hands on all the different things that are involved in the project. So being able to oversee a project from the beginning to construction and being a part of it, it's kind of like I don't know, it's like a goal that I had before. So for example, Highway 3, being able to kind of coordinate things there and being able to do the design, to do all utilities, to do kind of everything, coordinate all these kind of items. It's been great. Obviously, there's a lot of responsibility, which comes with the role, right? So, but it's something that I find that you build as you go. So,
Awesome. Thank you, Carlos. Matt?
Yeah, so I've been a project coordinator on a couple projects since starting 4.5, almost 5 years ago now. Obviously, like many of them have said, echoing it, I love working on the projects with large groups, learning the different disciplines. And as a project coordinator, I actually had to cover for the PM while he went on an extended vacation, which actually gave me a chance to review other disciplines' reports. So I actually had to read like a groundwater and noise. Not gonna lie, 3/4 of the report was well over my head, had no idea what the hell they were talking about. But it's you start getting used to it and you start learning those things and getting in on those, which was really nice. It was really cool. And I actually caught a few things, surprising myself, that had to be corrected, which, it always feels good when you can actually feel like you have a value to what you're doing. You're not just reading, but, oh, you spelt this wrong. You should put a period here. That's kind of things that our admin department should be taking care of, not so much things we catch. But, and kind of echoing some of the others, the worst thing is chasing people for things, herding the cats, as we call it. It's annoying. It grates on you a lot. One of the things I've done recently, actually, I'll take over the screen from you, Heidi. So on the most recent project, we actually created a schedule, and so you can see here on my screen, this is just like a normal project schedule, one you'd send to the MTO, telling them deliverables, that sort of stuff that you kind of have going on. With that, I've created a secondary schedule, which actually is used internally, showing dates of when we want it to the PM for review, when we'd like it to PRM for review, what date, that it needs to go to admin, because these are some of the reminders that have to go out as a PC when you're talking to some groups. You're just like, hey, so you have your report? And they're like, oh yeah, I'll get it to you on Friday. And you're like, yeah, it's due Monday. Still needs to go through PRM. Still needs to go through admin. So it's a lot of time where you're kind of chasing it down. And they're like, yeah, well, it's due on Thursday. And you're like, yeah, but internal reviews and stuff, guys. So we actually kind of went through and created this, putting it forward and saying, we're laying this out right now. These are the PM dates, the PRM review. Like, yes, yours is due on, in this instance, it's due on the 28th, but technically you need done by the 21st so that it can go through reviews, it can get edited, it can go through everything properly. And at first I thought I had to create multiple schedules to this, but I actually learned you can just filter these. You can create filters using, I forget what it was, resourcing or something. There was one where if you click it as yes, no, you can kind of filter out so you can keep the same schedule that you're using to send to the MTO as well as sending internally, so that you don't have to screw yourself up by maybe changing a date with the MTO schedule, forgetting to change on your schedule, that sort of stuff. Everything will change seamlessly, and then you can just filter, print it, give it to the MTO, unfilter it, print it, and give it to the internal staff.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Matt. And Mitch.
Hey guys, Mitch here. I haven't met some of you, but I'm in the Calgary office. I've been with Dylan for a while. I used to work in London. I held the project coordinator role for a number of projects. Currently, still on some. I've worked on a number of proposals as a coordinator. I will echo a lot of what I've heard already. I've had a similar experience. So I don't know how much I really have to add, but try to think of at least a few of my favorite things. And my least favorite thing is organizing my email. When Amanda was showing me hers, I've tried similar things in the past, and I end up abandoning it for some other method eventually. But one day I'll find that perfect method, hopefully. My favorite thing is definitely just learning from the people I'm working with, especially people with a lot more experience than myself within our own discipline and other disciplines. It really puts you in a position to be able to ask a lot of questions. So if you're curious, a lot of people are willing to share their knowledge and experience with you. So that's all I've got, Heidi.
Thanks, Mitch. And then John, I'm going to put you on the spot too, because John has worked with a lot of project coordinators this time at Dylan. What are the top things that you look for in a good project coordinator?
Enthusiasm, organization, willing to jump in and help, get things done, chase people, identify red flags or schedule issues up front. Willingness to help with the invoice. I think that's awesome that you're doing that.
It's exciting.
And then earn value, where we keep track of budgets, and so you're looking at work completed to date, ties in with the invoice. So just understanding where the project's at, where it should be at, and what we can rightfully invoice to the client. So understanding the earned value. It's great when team members can be involved right from the proposal stage right through into design. You get that. So once a project, if you're involved in the proposal and the project starts, you already have a leg up, and then you can see everything that you predicted wrote in your proposal, whether it's going to come to fruition.
Yeah.
Is it probably, well,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's always costs that you don't expect.
The other thing is, it's always funny to hear everyone's so quick to want to become a project manager, but I would stress, take the opportunity to enjoy the design and getting to learn how to do things. And because you'll be sitting in meetings, 30 years now, and you're sitting in a meeting, how nice it is to be in a meeting when the technical discussions are taking place and you understand and you can offer feedback and think on your feet. Because if you jump right into project management, you're not going to have that design experience to be able to understand the multidisciplinary aspects of the project. But it's so refreshing to be able to sit and understand what's going on and offer feedback. Think on your feet, because you're not going to have time to look at your computer and what the answer is. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, John. All right. So just kind of a summary, some, again, some important things is make sure you set deadlines for not only internal team members, but also for sub-consultants. It's very different working with internal versus external, like sub-consultants. You also have to coordinate them. Communicate deadlines to internal staff on a regular basis as well. Make sure the project team, both internal and external, is aware that you need to be CC'd on all correspondence, just so you are aware of everything that's happening with the project. Deliverables are to be sent through you so that you can keep a record of incoming and outgoing information. And then this is just a little plug. All things that go out to our clients have to go through admin. So that's minutes, that's reports, that's memos, that's everything. Agendas do not, and then drawings, of course, do not. And just make sure that everyone knows their budget. On eTime, there's something called Budget Buddy, and if you know your budget, you could put your budget in there, and then it'll tell you as you charge the project how much budget you have left. If you don't know your budget, ask, and the project manager or project coordinator should be able to give it to you. All right, so that's it for this part of the slideshow. Does anyone have any questions on the project coordinator role or anything to talk about? And that's okay if you don't. You can talk to anybody here and we can answer questions later.
From Dylan, who were like the first hands on a project? Like, for example, a bridge rehab. Who's the first department to start?
So like identifying the project for one and then going after it kind of thing.
Yeah.
John, I don't know if you want to
Oh.
talk to this one.
So if it's a municipal or government client, they identify the project need and the reason for the project. So they'll issue a request for proposal or expression of interest, where I seek consultants to submit the expression of interest or proposal. So that usually starts the process. And when you see that come in, it's usually a senior management team that will decide, look at the opportunity and decide, look at everything from timing of the project, staffing availability, whether there's a good chance of success, whether we've worked with that client before, and any unusual circumstances behind the project. And then, so basically you'll hear go, no go decisions. So
Right.
the decision will be made at that stage to go or no go. And if it's a go, then clock starts ticking, working with some consultants and partners in preparing the proposal with fees and carry proposal and submit proposal. Wait for them to score the proposal, award the project, then the project submits. So it's usually somebody else is usually identifying the problem and we're to offer our services to solve the problem.
What's the difference, I guess, between project coordinator and project manager? Like, how different are those roles?
So I would say project coordinator again, the more junior role, whereas project manager is all the design. And it sounds silly to say, but project manager at the end of the day is responsible for everything, not necessarily, they're accountable for everything, not necessarily responsible. So as a project coordinator, you can do work and help the project manager, but at the end of the day, if there's mess up, if the project goes over budget, the project manager is the one who's going to be accountable for it.
Right.
So it's kind of like you get to try a little bit of project management things without actually getting in trouble if something goes wrong. So like John was saying, like really soak it in for as long as you can because it's like a great position to be. Project manager, he or she is going to do the final review of everything. They're going to make sure everything that goes out to the client is correct. A lot of the times the project manager is also the highway design lead a lot of the time. So they're going to be like a Veronica or a Stephen Peck or a Natalie who are going to be reviewing it. And then there's another level above that, which is project risk manager. So after the project manager reviews, it goes to the project risk manager to do a final mover before it goes to the client, which John is a project risk manager. So he would be the final set of eyes. But again, at the end of the day, if something goes wrong, the project manager is the one accountable for it.
The only thing I'd like to add is typically project manager will be more senior. And when you're submitting a proposal to offer services, usually the client is looking for experience and knowledge and comfort, because at the end of the day, they need to be comfortable hiring Dylan or obtaining the services from Dylan. So usually they're going to want to see somebody more senior leading, but they do like to see coordinators involved on bigger projects, because they know that that's going to help the project manager keep things on track. Quite often our project coordinators are involved in everything day to day with clients. So other than name, you're hearing the same things the project manager is hearing. Yeah,
Great.
so,
You get like there's certain project managers that I work with a lot. Now they know. So like if I ever move into the project manager role one day, then it's easier for me to work with them because then they know me and trust me. Okay, our next topic is the CAD corner segment. So usually on our last Jeff meeting, we have a section for CAD because everyone's always learning with CAD, like it's a continuous process. So I think Jarrett, you had something to share for this?
Yeah, I did. I'll just share my screen. Last week, we had an IFT submission for the City of Kingston job, and the drawings went in. They looked fine, but IFT is issued for tender. So after your design is all the way done, you issue it for tender with the client. They'll put it out to contractors to bid on, and they'll try to get the job with a low bid, basically. Yeah, so we did this drawing package. It looked good on our end. When the city was looking at it and the bidders were looking at it, they're having some issues with it, I guess. Certain font styles weren't displaying properly, and that's because it was being viewed in Adobe or other things. I know Bluebeam and PDF Exchange don't have these issues, but basically little dots were showing up under the text, or in some more extreme cases, the text was like completely messing up with like squares in it. I don't know what was happening on this one. I couldn't recreate that, but I know you can get like little warning messages in Adobe saying we don't know what to do with this text, basically, and it's not going to display properly. So there's a pretty easy way to fix it, though. You can just save your PDF as a archived PDF. PDF/A is still the file extension PDF. It's just basically embedding the text, and then you're going to get a little window that says it's an archived PDF, so it can't be modified, but it will not display that error message anymore, and your text is going to show up fine. One thing to note is it can be reverted from the regular PDF. So if you do like add stamps or something like that after the fact, you should flatten them before you archive the PDF. Yeah, so pretty simple solution. I don't know, has anyone ever come across anything like that in plotting?
We had an issue on Dorchester where on our supplemental signing, all of our TC64 signs showed up as dots. So MTO was providing feedback, and they were like, we're only providing feedback on the drawing because we couldn't read anything. And we were like, we didn't know that. So yeah, we had the exact same issue.
So did you go and change the text, or did you do it this way?
We confirmed which text they could read, so then we ended up just like matching it all, which, I mean, that wasn't the ideal solution because that could be copied to another drawing. So this is really helpful to know because this might be good to do just in case, even if we use the proper text.
Yeah, because I know with like this text, it's built into like the Dylan standard, so it's kind of annoying to have to change it on a redrawing you open it. But yeah, Mitch, have you come across this as well? Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to mention, we used to have the problem where some of our wipeout text in CAD would actually display as like just a big black box when we printed. And I've been able to get around that by printing to DWF and then from DWF to PDF. I'm not sure if anyone's encountered that recently. It was sort of a problem we used to have a while ago, but yeah, it was an issue when we were labeling stuff like catch basins or catch basin manholes.
Do you have a DWF viewer on your computer, or how are you?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the issue goes away with Bluebeam now, but that's how we used to have to do it. So if you can't get it to work this way, sometimes printing to or plotting to DWF first, and then going from DWF to PDF will work.
Yeah. There's another similar issue, I guess we've come across. Devin and I were looking at it, like solid blocks. They show up kind of funky in other viewers with like scratches on them, basically. But when you zoom in, they're fine. There's a few different ways to fix that. You can replot in here, but if you have a DWF viewer, I guess that's probably the best way to plot to that and then convert to PDF.
Yeah, the way you were showing before. Oh, sorry, Mitch.
No problem. Go ahead now. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, if you flip back to your other sheet there, Garrett, when you do this with the archive PDF, do you know if the text is still selectable in PDF?
I don't believe it is. I don't believe it is. Yeah.
Okay.
I was just going to add that I ran into the same issue as Amanda had talked about. And there is a setting when you go to plot in CAD. If you click on like PDF options, there's a font handling option in there that you can select to capture fonts used in the drawing. So what that does is if the PDF viewer doesn't have that font, it essentially just embeds it in the PDF drawing. So even though the viewer normally wouldn't be able to see it, it can usually. That option, yeah, if you hit your print command or whatever, you'll see the PDF options if you're plotting from say DWG to PDF or whatever. So that's just another method if you happen to run into that.
Mitch, can you send like screenshots of that to everybody in the group? And then Garrett, can you send this useful document as well around to everyone in the group?
Yep, will do.
Sure.
Can I even suggest something more?
Yeah.
You know, Carlos was looking for topics for the TE group when we have the bigger group.
Yeah.
Can we include this as a topic?
Oh yeah.
At the next one?
Yeah, Carlos, is that okay?
Yes, that'll be great.
Natalie?
Yeah, I was just wondering, does anyone on the call have Adobe PDF? I know we used to have limited license for it, but I'm not sure if they all got taken away.
I don't think I do. I don't like it, so I don't use it. I do.
Daryl Douglas had it, but I don't know if he does on his latest machine or not. I doubt it.
Yeah, I used to have it. It got taken away from me. I was just curious if anyone managed to survive that cut. It would almost be nice just to check, like for someone to be able to check in Adobe PDF if that's what the problem is, if our clients are all using it, just to see like what is causing issues.
I have the viewer, so that's how I got that screenshot here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That might be the issue. Remember we had that at Fort Hope, right? With Peter?
Yep. Yeah. And I guess that's why I was asking too, if the text was still selectable in a PDF, because I'm not sure if a screen reader could actually pick up that text anymore if it was like not necessarily for drawings, but for like specs or anything.
Yeah, I can add to this Mitch's setting there, and that seems like an even better option to just do right from the plotter.
Yeah, that'd be great. It'd be good for both, just in case there's like someone who doesn't have CAD who wants to convert it for into the client. So that's great. Running short on time, so I think I'm going to flip to the next agenda item. Which is Matt and Natalie, I didn't prep you for this. Do you have any OTM updates that you'd like to share with the group? I'm assuming silence is a no.
I can't think of any off the top of my head, unless you know of any vacation that you're taking and you want to fill out the vacation calendar. That would be quite quite helpful. And I guess maybe just a reminder to fill out your workflow planning sheet whenever you can remember. We've dropped off a little bit on that, but it's really helpful for me and Matt and Veronica to be able to see what projects people are working on, just as an FYI. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, just send me a chat afterwards. I can show you.
Yeah, I think the only thing I was going to talk about is if you've missed it in some of the weekly calls, we've talked about IDPs. When you guys are filling them out, if you are going after a training budget that is not covered under ECD, I don't know how many of you are actually, I think most of you are probably in the ECD program, but those of you who are not, if you're going after a budget that is not in part of that, reach out to myself or Veronica beforehand so that we can talk with Natalie about the budget and where we're sitting with the certain training, so that you're not submitting this IDP and, oh yeah, my IDP is submitted and I asked for this for training, and we just come back to you and say, yeah, no, it's not happening. Just makes it a little easier instead of submitting, unsubmitting, rewriting, spending all your time writing this very nicely worded IDP statement of what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, and all that fun stuff, and then just having us say, yeah, you can't do that and we're not approving it, so go back and figure something else out.
I think too, if you're approving something through your ECD training budget, we don't actually get to see that unless we request it. So if you just want to send us like a note that you're taking certain training, like it would be really good for us to know just that you're doing certain things. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm actually going to do item number 6 before 5. So last time we did these JET meetings, our last item was always who's going to host the next meeting. So I've taken out the mystery of this and I've just created a list that who's going to host what. If you have an issue with your month, you are in charge of switching to somebody else. And for your month, you're in charge of setting up the meeting, inviting everybody, coming up with a topic or a guest speaker, and setting the agenda. So it's totally up to you. Again, this is a safe space, so it's a good opportunity to learn how to set up a meeting and host. Yes, Matt?
On that note, if you are really struggling setting it up, feel free to reach out to your OTM. It's something we are willing to help you with, give you some ideas on topics, kind of help you, point you in a direction of who you can have talk, that sort of stuff. You will be responsible for reaching out to that person. So, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. I tell you guys to, oh yeah, here's a topic, reach out to John or Tanya Cross, for instance, and you're like, oh, I don't want to reach out to her. Well, that's on you. You're going to reach out to her or figure out another topic.
It's great for networking. It really is. So, and John is also working on the back to basic training. So John, I'm sure you'll have some things that come up that might be good topics for this meeting.
Yeah. So Paul Wilson and I are working on these design minutes that we talked about. So we're gonna have the 15 or 20-minute presentations. Some of them may go into our other bi-weekly meeting. Some may come into here, so you can reach out to me.
Ahmed and Kislam, you're here for August, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I put you two as joint co-chairs for that before you head off, because I wanted 2 people who have been here a while to do the first 2, and then you guys can do it, and then we'll just shuffle in from there. I forgot to add Alex to this list, but he'll be March of 2024. So that's kind of what it's going to look like moving forward. So again, you're responsible for setting up your meeting. You're responsible for switching with someone else if that month does not work for you. All right, and now we're going to do a roundtable. So I'm going to go around and I'm going to call on everybody. And if you have nothing to say, that's totally fine. I just want to give everybody an opportunity to speak if they haven't. So Garrett, do you have anything to add before we sign off?
Nope. Thanks for sharing, Heidi.
Natalie?
Nope, that was great. Sorry I was late.
That's okay. Mitch?
The exact same. Sorry I was late, and thanks for that.
Yeah, that's okay. Next time I'll be watching. Carlos? Amanda,
All good.
Matt,
I'm good.
Umair.
I'm good, Heidi, and thank you for the opportunity to speak about the project coordinator role. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you for speaking to it. Devin?
Have a great long weekend.
Wow. Ahmed?
Nothing.
Anna?
I'm good.
Nothing from me, thank you.
Ash?
No, thank you for the presentation. It was nice.
I have one thing to add that I forgot to say. Hannah has been working on some signs for roundabouts because they're all very unique signs, and she has a whole repository now of signs that she's created for roundabouts. So if you're looking for CAD signs for that, Hannah has it. We'll end up
Colored signs.
colored, yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll end up adding them to our sign drawing. John, did I add?
No. Maybe on one of the meetings we'll bring up CSE, but maybe because we want to get
Yeah.
people coming out
Yeah.
to CSE.
Yeah, and I've already been plugging it a little bit.
Okay.
So we're on a break till September,
Yeah.
right? But then the next presentation will be in September for CSE, which is the Civil Engineering Society.
Maybe Society for
of
Civil Engineers.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, that's all we have. So thank you so much, everyone. And Amanda, you're on for June. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Have a great long weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
What's the thing Natalie was talking about?